Okay. Hello and welcome in, everyone. My name is Sugi Yamagawa, and today on VTubing My Slow Life Hobbies in My 30s, we're kicking off the 2026 gardening season by doing some seed starting. So, I am really excited to do this. I am ready to more formally kick off the new year gardening season, especially considering how terribly cold it's been today. where I'm at. Oh wait a second. Oh, there's Stream BGM. Okay. But yeah, it's been a cold one today. It's also pretty cold in the shop. I've actually got my space heater on behind me back there, so it's warmed up a few degrees. It's gotten to tolerable versus just being straight cold. So yeah, but first off, before we actually get into the meat and potatoes, I suppose, of what we're going to do here today, I have right here this year's batch of seeds I've ordered this year. So I've got my handy dandy seed organizer here, and we're going to start things off by going through these guys and talk about what we're going to be growing this year. So first off, we have the herb garden cress. From what I understand, this is a pretty water-loving herb, and I have a pseudo goal for myself as a gardener, where I always want to try. I not only want to try growing something new every year, but I also want to try a new herb every year. So I think this year is garden cress, and I think I think I picked up some rosemary in here. I think I've got some rosemary. Next up is working on last year's greatest failing. So, last year, one of my gardening shortcomings was I only bought a single packet of the Yugoslavian red butterhead lettuce, thinking I had other lettuce seed in my backstock, and that was actually going to be one of my tries from last year. And honestly, I really like the lettuce. It tastes great, looks really pretty in the salad. Well, you get to see it here in a bit. It's in here somewhere. But I do want to also try growing some other varieties, including a standard head lettuce, like summertime here. So, summertime is a standard head-bearing lettuce. I don't think I'm going to go too far on reading the actual descriptions until we actually get to actually putting seeds in trays. So I'm not gonna go into too much detail on some of these guys, but we will also be sowing some of this. It's technically a little bit early. However, I have a cold frame, so I can plant some of this stuff out in there, and that's gonna be some of this. I also have the garage garden that some very sad looking tomato plants in it, but that's that. So next lettuce is, we've got some speckled lettuce here. So speckled, summertime, in the Yugoslavian, those are going to be my three main lettuces. I am a big fan of leaf lettuces. I really like being able to go through my lettuce plants and grab a couple of leaves off each plant. And one of the biggest reasons why I'm a big fan of growing lettuce is it's an easy way to keep greens around. Otherwise, it is atrociously difficult. Well, it's just greens don't keep in the fridge for very long. So, if you're wanting to have greens and have them available, honestly, I think the best way to go is, grow them. There's a lot of plants that I grow because I like, and there's also a lot of plants I grow because there's some practicality to them. And lettuce is a really big practical one to grow. Also, there's a really good benefits with nutrient retention. A lot of your leafy greens will actually start losing nutrients as soon as they're harvested. Whereas if you grow your own leafy greens, then they're basically going from garden to plate in less than an hour, if not 2-ish or so. Hey, I'm guessing the early stream was a misclick. No, I actually vary my stream starting times, and also welcome in Captain Cocoa Puff. I vary it based off whether or not I'm on call. So last week was one of my on-call weeks, so I started later. Personally, I prefer starting around this time because this gives me a good time to get like a good 2-hour stream in, and then I can hit the shower and have some unwinding time before bed. Versus if I start later, that post-stream time to just unwind, I get less of. So this is generally what? Look. Oh, wait, what? The 5 a.m. one? Did OBS... Okay, so I know OBS will sometimes generate a weird stream, and I also know this stream had an original start time of 5 a.m. I really want to look at the Internet Archive for that or something, because I have made the mistake where I would go to set up a stream and I forget to change it from AM to PM because OBS seems to think I was still awake and was hella surprised was going live in the AM. Yeah. Especially that AM. Jiminy Crickets, I want to look at that a little bit more detailed because I'm pretty sure oh wait, yeah, because you're Central Time, so it was 5 a.m. for you. That's probably what happened. But I don't know. I that's probably a mistake on my end. And also, hello, Mr. Spock. I hope you're staying warm. It's been too cold. But yeah. So next up, as one of my new plants to me, is I'm going to be growing rosemary this year. So I typically don't. I'm not super big on meat dishes. I typically see, which I know rosemary is a very strong player in a lot of meat dishes. So. But I also know it's good for some, roasted vegetable type stuff as well. So, but hey, I want to try growing all the things, you know? So, that's going to be a new to me plant there. Next up, I have a not new plant to me, Walla Walla onion. This has been my traditional white onion I typically plant year after year. I buy onion seed nearly every year because onion seed does not keep very well. So, just a pro tip for you other gardeners out there. Onion seed does not keep at all. And once again, I also like growing white and also red onion because I like onions. I really like onions. I think amongst some of the things I'm going to start sowing today, the onions are kind of really high on the importance list if I actually had to grow them for myself. What I would actually grow. Because onions are just good. And they also keep. But as one of my tries, I will be trying to grow shallots this year. I have not grown these. Onion for the win. Onions and potatoes can sustain me for life. Yes. Yes. And also, potatoes are kind of just a hobby thing. Honestly, I really like growing the potatoes in containers just because it's it's just convenient to harvest, and it's also fun. My seeds were delivered today. I'm growing orange habanero, fresco chili, and ghost pepper. Ooh. Ooh, that seems like some pretty spicy stuff in all sorts of ways. But yeah, this is actually going to be one of my tries for this year. I'm going to try growing some shallots because I actually have run across a couple of recipes for shallots, and it would be nice to just have a readily available source for them. So we got this guy going in. I think at some point I need to go through the Stardew Valley cookbook and see if there's any particular veg that I am going to particularly need for a certain recipe. I know for when I did the roots platter, it called for Tokyo turnips, which don't exist in any grocery stores near me. But I just subbed those out with some daikon radishes I had in the garden. But, so I have filled up on my black-eyed Susan. I am trying, well, I wouldn't say super hard, but I'm trying to be okay. I'm wanting to grow a lot of black-eyed Susan. And black-eyed Susan does self-seed somewhat readily. But this is also just like a really easy, typically pretty easy to grow prairie flower, and reasonably prolific too. And then again, since I'm a big fan of wild plants, I also have some little blue stem here. So this is, it's a grass. It's a native grass. It's a native grass to North America. Provides good habitat for the birds and insects and all that good stuff. Like, I don't know how much I'm not much of a naturalist. I do a lot of naturalist adjacent things. Like, I forage for wild edible plants. I spend lots of times in the woods. And I just like being around nature. But I also like supporting nature by growing habitat and supporting that stuff, and so that way all that stuff can like thrive. But I'm also not like, I don't have enough of a background to be super into nature interpretation. I just like trees too much. I just think about trees too much. But also new to me, and probably in the last new to me for this year, is French breakfast radish. I like radishes. These guys are pretty good monsters because the greens are good in the salad, the root is good in the salad, and I like my salads. So I like anything that supports my salad pipeline. I take my salad pipeline fairly seriously. I want to take good care of my health this year, and a big part of taking care of your health is getting plenty of fiber in your diet. And this is radishes are great for that. And then last up is one of my favorite sunflowers, and yeah, it's just because of the name. So for those who don't know, Taiyo is Japanese for sun. So this is basically sunflower. But yeah, it grows pretty well. I've had really good success with it. I've also had some saved seed, but I also do like gathering. Well, I have some saved seed gathered, but I also like getting fresh seed every year because I need to stay stocked up, man. Okay, so for now, let's just go ahead and get these guys quickly sorted out. Because, yeah, there we go. So these are going to go into my wildflower bin. Don't hurt my fingernail. I trimmed my nails over the weekend, and now I don't have fingernails for things. And I feel like a declawed cat. But yeah, so we'll probably be doing some common milkweed, which is really nice. I also have butterfly weed. This stuff is really pretty. Red milkweed. Granted, I've planted some milkweed out on my homestead in previous years, and it's spreading. So I see myself having less need to grow this stuff because I'll just be able to take advantage of stuff that's already out there. Once again, black-eyed Susan. Oh, hey, that's actually kind of cool. Kind of see the difference in their like art. My seed bin doesn't look like yours. I'm very happy with my seed bin. I actually bought a label printer just for the seed bin. But yeah, so what this is actually, it's basically a photo organizer. I picked this up at what are those called? Peddlers malls. I was just like going through the Peddlers mall and saw this and was like, I need that. I legit need that, because otherwise, because prior to this, I was keeping my seeds in a large Tupperware container that I didn't necessarily have filed super well. But this is, from an organization standpoint, this has just been like a massive win for me. And then also, of course, the lovely purple cone flower, very beloved of monarchs. Mine is a 20-plus-year-old brown paper bag. Hey, that works. That gets the job done. And then I also have lavender hyssop. I grew a little bit of this 2024, and it did okay. This stuff, also lavender hyssop has like really small seeds to it. Like a lot of the seeds are just like in the like little thing, but these actually come in a secondary small thing because of they're very small and easy to lose. So since these are actually wait a second, sunflowers are their own bin. So and then I'm also going to be adding in little blue stem in with my wildflowers, just because if I was going to go look for it later, that's where I'd find it. Because essentially my wildflowers bin is basically native plants. That's native plants. Granted, also native plant, but not. Oh man, opening these without fingernails is sad. But how much do I got left of Autumn Bounty? Okay. Not too many. Not too many of the autumn. How about poppies? I grew some years ago. Fascinating plant. I have not grown the poppies. I do, as far as like other flowers, I do grow gladiolas because my grandma gave me a whole bunch of her gladiolas. And I just have those lying around. Because I mostly stick to native plants as far as flowers go. And I primarily grow the gladiolas because, one, I basically got the bulbs for free. Granted, they're not bulbs, they're combs. I believe is the technical term for gladiolas. But I also, being the middle-aged man I am, and who is very obsessed with plants, a big reason I like gladiolas is that they're so named because, you know, they have like they have those sword-shaped leaves. Gladiolas are actually named after the Gladius Hispaniensis, the Spanish sword of the Roman legions. So when I see gladiolas, I also think of the Roman Empire. Because you just have to have a reason to think about the Roman Empire. So I'm going to grab onions, because I have shallot here. Actually, let's pile on our onions. And then I've got my lettuce, because we're going to be doing... So, let's go over to my handy-dandy grow chart. This typically lives on my fridge. So, we are in January. We're technically more than halfway through January, so it is now time for the broccoli, the cabbage, and onion. So these are the three main things. I tried to grow peyote years ago, didn't turn out so well. But still fun to experiment, though. Always fun to experiment. Now, do I have an herb bin? Or am I just keeping herbs and... I am keeping... So, I'm keeping my herbs in my other. I might have to change this out to something else. Because basically, what I have in herb... So, this is my other. So, right now I have thyme. I have Big Mac's pumpkin. Bull's blood beets. And cilantro. Which I also got some... Wait. Is there cilantro in them? Oh, no. Where's that part? No, it is cilantro in the in my beds right now because I needed some. Was it the root splatter that needed some? Yeah. Wow, how big's your garden? I have a fairly good sized growing area. I'm trying to think about how big it is. I want to say the backyard garden is like 25 feet by like it's probably like 25 feet by 20 feet. One of the reasons I'm able to grow pumpkins is because I have kind of an area in my front yard that's just reserved for that. I also have areas in my front yard. Actually, I should have stuck my garden crust over there. But I also have areas in my front yard that are dedicated for sunflowers as well. So some of my more space-hungry crops, if you will, also a lot of wildflowers, those end up in the front yard garden. I try to keep most of my primary like veg, I try to keep that in my in-ground beds, but I also have three. Yeah, I got 3 raised beds. And then the raised beds are where I grow lots of radishes. Because I actually alternate my raised beds between 3 plantings. Planting 1 is legumes to restore soil health. Planting 2 is root crops, radishes, onions. That's actually where I grow my onions. And then the last one is the salsa bed, which I primarily grow. I've actually been dialing down the peppers and tomatoes I've been growing to kind of like make room for like other accessory crops. But yeah, and there's the brassicas. So we got onion, lettuce, and brassicas. And this is all we need out of here. So, I've got that. Now I cleared the workspace with that. So, I do my seed starting with 2 materials. Material number 1, and my handy black plastic bucket that has leaves and other debris that I should probably be picking out as I go. So this is a material called leaf mold. I have a squash that's almost a year and a half old. I wonder if it's still good. I'd try it. I mean, if you're really curious, go for it, man. But yeah, this is leaf mold. This is basically, you take leaves, you put them in like a bucket, some sort of container, and you just let them break down for a long time. Mold is bad. Well, this mold produces crops, and it's just called leaf mold. It's basically composted leaves. Essentially, is what this is. It's a pretty fine material, even when it's fully broken down, but it's still not quite super fine. So I primarily use the leaf mold as a bulking ingredient in my seed trays here. Yeah. But that's the main material I'll use for like filling up the seed trays. Then I'll plant my seeds in. And then what I do is I typically will cover the seeds with a standard from the store seed bags starting mix. So, and this is what I use to cover. Leaf mold's it's a pretty good bulking material, but I've noticed some of my seeds will kind of struggle a little bit to actually like pierce through the soil. So that's why I'll cover it with this stuff, because this stuff is a lot finer and it's horrendously fine. So will you pump? I think I have to loosen you quite a bit to get you the pump. Or that's what I do. I just gotta take the nozzle off. So, the important thing with I pile leaves up and put the chicken coop waste on top of it. That's year 1 for compost. Nice. Very nice. That will certainly work. So, the thing with the seed starting mix stuff is this has been sitting in the bag, because this is actually stuff from last year. And the thing is with it, it will lose moisture. And when you lose and when this stuff loses its moisture, it's very difficult to re-wet, which is why I'm taking a moment here to spray water on it. And you have to like spray water on it, because if you were to just dump a bunch of water in it, it gets to be a little too water repellent, and it doesn't hydrate well. So you want to wet it with water that has a high level of surface area. Hence why I'm bothering with the spray bottle, because I'm going to probably empty half the spray bottle. Because if you don't try to like basically moisturize this stuff, and then you sow your seeds in with this on top, your seeds are going to be a little bit lacking in water. And we don't want our seeds lacking water around here. But this is traditionally the most tedious part of my seed starting. Because of how much water it takes to hydrate this stuff. Granted, it is starting to feel a lot more hydrated. And I'm gonna access. Yeah. I have to do that with the soil mix. Sucks wetting down a 4x4 plant bin. Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh, yeah. But it's very important to do. Because if this stuff's too dry, then it don't work right. This doesn't work right. Because I can, like, wring water out of this and stuff, but that's also going to help. That's what hydrates this stuff, man. Because once you get the stuff nice and hydrated, then you have some good stuff that you can actually plant. And I don't even think you have to get it like super soaked or anything. I just think you have to get it to a point where water can actually get into the material and stay in the material. Ideally stay in the material. We want, because we don't want to overwet our boys or girls or whatever gender or young plants choose to identify by. I don't judge. But yeah, okay. So we're gonna have that. We're gonna park you over there. And can I pull you out? Maybe. There we go. I like that. I like that a lot. So I've got my pot like right down here. You can see that it's barely at the edge of the screen. I have to build 2 more 4x4 planters this year. Ooh, nice. So, Mr. Spock, do you like growing vegetables, or do you like to see yourself more of as a specialty crop grower? Which I'm gonna be like, hint, hint, wink, wink on the specialty crop growing. But yeah, I'm gonna be working this over my bucket because the bucket's just gonna catch the extra stuff. So, go. That's reasonable. Okay, so a specialty crop grower. I see. Nothing wrong with that. So, for these guys, one of the big things I try to do is make sure my soil has made it all the way to the bottom of my tray. And with that, that's one tray taken care of. And I'm going to do a couple of these trays. So, sorry, but for a little while, the stream's just going to be me stuffing what essentially amounts to compost into trays. Is usually what I will do. Oh, wait, I actually haven't grabbed. I haven't grabbed any of my labels. That was negligent of me. Granted, I'm really glad I brought this material in to the shop. Because if this stuff was still outside, it would have been frozen solid. Because I did bring it in, I think, over the weekend. So it would at least be at a temperature that could be worked with. Versus frozen solid. We don't like frozen solid here. Okay, that's some reasonables. Pull some of those roots out for cleanliness. Another one down. Yeah. Oh yeah. Starting seeds is a lot of fun. You get to see your little boys become big boys, and that's a big reason why I like starting seeds. It's fun to watch the little plants become big plants. I suppose that's one of the things that motivates people to raise children, I guess. I don't know. I don't get that. At least not the perspective of, like, having to do it. Because there's some people who just are like, I gotta do this. And I'm like, okay. I've got a stock portfolio to take care of me when I become an old man. I don't need children for that. Okay. Good there, good there. We'll do a hair bit extra on that cell, and then that cell, and that's 3. Okay. I'm gonna sip some tea. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. So I'm gonna try and up the interesting level a little bit. Oh. I'm hooked. There we go. We'll get you guys zoomed out a little bit more. You can see my bucket. Behold my bucket, one of many. I have a great deal of buckets. I also have another bucket with a little bit more of the leaf mold stuff, and that bucket's actually my old dust collection bucket. Because I actually fixed my dust collection, which, strangely enough, I don't know when I'm going to use it. Because for not tomorrow's project, but Thursday's project, we're not going to really need it because we're literally just working with one cedar board. And I'm going to be doing a lot of the breaking down of that cedar board with my circular saw. So I won't be using a lot of my machines, and if I'm not using my machines, I'm not going to bust out the dust collection. Now, if I was doing a whole bunch of stuff with the table saw, then I'll bust out the dust collection. It's because it hooks up to my DeWalt planer and my DeWalt table saw. I don't have it set up for hooking up to any of my other tools. The miter saw has like a small dust collection bag, which, as long as I empty that after every project, that's generally worked out for me. I haven't had many issues. Need a little bit more. The black gold supports strong seedling health. There we go. There we go. Nearly got one side filled up. And I think I don't know, at some point I'm going to count. Once I get enough of these, I'm going to count and see how well I'm doing as far as like the actual like number of trays I've got done. Because not entirely sure how many I want. Not off the bat. Because I'm wanting to do at least 3 of these guys with lettuce. We're going to do a lettuce mix. Then I think I do a dozen each of my onions. And then we have the brassicas, which I've got. So the 4x4 trays, which are like these trays here. Those are for the brassicas, because, well, brassicas get big. Well, those will actually be for, no, because I grabbed 8 for cabbage. Yes, I got 8 for cabbage, but I'm gonna need a dozen. Bada bang, bada boom. That's 6. I've got 6 trays done. I better not think about how many I need of these guys I need, otherwise I might be ending up short. So are you trying to catch a screech owl? No. I'm trying to create habitat for a screech owl because screech owls eat the vermin. Also, I do know I have something of an owl population near me, and there's actually some housing going up near me as well, and I'm suspecting there might be some underhoused owls here soon. So I want to create some habitat for them at my place, so that way they'll come hang out at my house and eat all the rats and mice outside. Well, I don't have rats, thank God, but I do get mice. So more critters that eat mice is good for me. Because unfortunately, the neighbor cat, that neighbor cat's been really checking out been really hanging around my feeder box. They probably taste like chicken. But Mr. Spock, supposedly everything tastes like chicken. Which I wouldn't know, because I don't typically, I actually don't like the taste of chicken. I'm a weirdo. I don't like the taste of chicken at all. I've never liked the taste of chicken. At any point in my life. Now my taste preferences have changed with age, but chicken has not been saved. Let's take care of that. And then also do that, and then we'll raise that up a little bit. There we go. Okay. So let's get a little bit more in here. Also, if I have any like less broken down leaves, I try to make sure I get those packed in towards the bottom of the cell. Whereas I'm trying to keep a more finer, looser mix. And even if you seem like you pack it pretty densely, one of the good things about like this leaf mold stuff is the leaves are they're well broken down. And because they're well broken down, the young plant roots can actually get through the material fairly easily. If these leaves were a bit fresher, like last fall, they wouldn't be broken down. I have to be real hungry to eat an owl. I don't think they're easy to catch. Porcupines are an easy meal, but you have to cook them good. Oh man. Funny enough, porcupines are not something that typically lives in my area. Whoa. I do not have porcupine habitat. I actually remember one of the naturalists at the large park near me talking about how he saw a porcupine as like roadkill alongside the road that he saw one day, and he actually stopped and collected it. and reported it to like the wildlife officials, and he was talking about this to like some of us other like volunteers, and it's like, yeah, we typically don't see porcupines around here. He said they were more like a north thing. Roadkill's the easiest meal to catch. I mean, yeah, it's no longer moving. Not sure how I feel about that roadside service, though. That roadside service is lacking a little bit of freshness, you know? I think McDonald's is probably a better meal at that point. Or at least that's probably what I'd go for. I'd have to be hungry to eat roadkill deer. I hit a big deer once. Got the front half, no problem. I mean, that's the thing with deer. Deer is delicious. Okay. That patted down, that patted down, that patted down. Okay. Holy smokes, I actually got the better part of that filled, so I now need to consider things. So, I'm going to do a dozen white onions, dozen red onions. It tasted really good. Good to hear, man. Good to hear. I guess I'll do a dozen shallots. And then I want 3 trays for lettuce. So I at least want one more of these bad boys to give me enough for broccoli, and then I need to fill those 2. Which the reason I'm doing my math right now is I'm running low on broken down soil organic matter. Need to top off. The only problem is my top off isn't as... This stuff isn't as high quality as my first pool of material. Which is kind of one of the downsides of my quote-unquote methods here. Because sometimes the leaf mold doesn't break down too well. Sometimes it breaks down really easily. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Tree species is going to affect that. Not sure. Well, I don't think anyone has that sharp of an eye for trees, but here, this is a red maple leaf. So I try, when I make my leaf mold, I try to use maple leaves because those are the trees around me, and also those trees are, they have a good amount, they will break down, they have nutrients in them. The nutrient availability in leaves is what ultimately determines the rate they break down at. Certain species of trees, especially like oaks, for instance, oak leaves take a much longer time frame to break down, so they're not a great candidate for leaf mold. And if you want kind of any like general guidelines for leaf mold considerations, which actually funny enough, so there is a red oak leaf right there, and as you can see, it looks in a lot better shape compared to the maple leaves, because those oaks just don't break down as readily. Do your maple leaves get blight on them in the fall? It depends. I know a lot of I know silver maple around me will get like bumps and blight. I haven't had, I think my red maple has gotten some blight, some stuff on it, like nothing terrible, nothing worrisome, because generally if your like tree leaves get like a fungus on them, it's typically it's not a terribly worrisome thing, but it also depends, because we live in a world where we can literally wake up one day and all of a sudden we have a new tree pest. Historical tree pests is, of course, we have the quote-unquote OG of my maple leaves get black spots on them. Ah, okay. Are the undersides of your maple leaves silvery on the bottom? Are the leaves like silvery on the bottom of the leaf that flutters nicely in the wind when the wind blows? Because if that's the case, those are silver maple trees, and black spots on the leaves is like actually funny. Ha! Oh, sweet. We were just talking about it. So, Mr. Spock, there's your maple leaf black spots. In this case, on a red maple. But yeah, that is a perfectly normal thing here in North America. Maple trees just do this. That is perfectly normal. And I'm just going to leave that leaf out as a reference because I just noticed that one. Yep, 100%. But yeah, so don't worry about your tree's health. That's perfectly normal. It's just a thing our trees do around here. In good old North America land. Okay. That's looking fairly full. That's fairly full. Could probably top it off a little bit more. Top it off with a light handful of stuff. Yoink! But as you can see, they'll grow fast for real, for real. Oh, yeah, yeah. If they're growing fast for real, then that sounds like silver maple to me. Because silver maple's very quick growing tree. Because it's what's called a riparian tree species. Riparian tree species are tree species that grow around water. And the thing is with tree species that grow around water, streams, rivers, lakes, all that stuff floods. And because all those things do the flood thing occasionally, tree species that have adapted to what's called the riparian environment, they are programmed to grow quickly, very quickly. And granted, the wood is not as strong as some other tree species. Other examples of riparian tree species would be tree species like cottonwood, cottonwood, and then there's also cottonwood's Populus deltoides. Let's see, what are some? There's also Acer negundo, which is a maple. It's actually a maple. It's a variety of maple, but the leaves are compound, so you'll have like a little bit of a leaf stem with smaller leaves. I make poles out of them. Nice. And the biggest identifying characteristic of Acer negundo is that the twigs are a bright green. Because it will have bright green photosynthetic limbs to them, which is kind of a characteristic that is unique to them. Because silver maple, cottonwood, and then Acer negundo, also sometimes you'll see sweet gum in riparian environments as well. But it's not like one of the actual gets rooted in a riparian environment and then just grows like the best weed it can. Oh yeah, sycamore. Sycamore's another one. Yeah, sycamore's a big one. Sycamores get big. I'm actually real happy that I've got a couple of sycamores at my property. Just because, and Wild started sycamores at that. They just showed up and, my sycamores, they just showed up and started making themselves happy. Let's see. I don't think I got enough in here for one more of these guys, but I'm just going to try and fill this up best I can. Because I do have extra soil mix. if I need to get a little bit extra going. But yeah, we're gonna be starting a lot of seeds today. We're gonna be doing a lot of seed starting. I'm actually excited about that. I like food. I am a big fan of food. And growing food is how you get started with making food. And then you gotta cook it and prepare it and do all that fun stuff too, but that's like accessory fun stuff. Okay. So that's pretty much that. Nearly got it filled up, but I'm gonna leave this one in the bucket for now. Ugh. Yeah. Oh, wait, I left the lid on that. Thank you, Sugi. Thank you, Sugi of the past. The past me of, like, I don't know, like 15 minutes ago. Thank you for that. Kind of get my hands cleaned up a little bit. Let's see. I want to park you there. I want to park you on my cam cart. Okay. So, we've done most of setting seed into trays. That's going to flop down. And then we're going to park that guy back under there. And then I'll bring you guys up to the workbench. Now we can actually get... Actually, wait, we got one more thing to do before we really get cultivated. Let's see. You're still making meat. There we go. Ooh, it's warmed up to 60 in here, but had to get the good old... Had a huge willow that was blown up. Yep, willow is also another riparian species. Had a huge willow that blew over in a hurricane. It was cut up the stump, righted itself, and now it's a huge... Willows are incredibly resistant trees. Which is unfortunate if you want to get rid of a willow. You're going to have a bad time. You're going to have a really bad time trying to get rid of willow. There we go. Get ourselves a bunch of handy-dandy pops. Well, they're technically paint stirring sticks, but I actually picked those up at an estate sale earlier. Well, at some period of time like last year. Gotta say, it was a pretty nice find. It's actually what I typically like getting at estate sales, is just random consumables. So, we got a lot of our space prepped out here. So, I've got onion on top. Onion is what we're gonna get started with. I am so anticipating. Okay, so I'm anticipating myself kind of blowing through my seed trays here. So I'm gonna lay things out. So we're gonna do one of you speckled. We're gonna do another one of you summertime. And then there is the classic Yugoslavian red butterhead lettuce that saved my keister so much last year. Okay. And let's see. If I do two of you, and holy smokes, just barely enough. Granted, these aren't all the onions I have. I can say that, but wait, there's more. Like chives. Really like me some good chives. And then also, oh yeah, price taker leek. Oh man. I gotta decide between leeks and shallots. Oh no, I don't like that. Oh no. I gotta make decisions. But I also really like my bunching onions. But yeah, I'm actually out of... Granted, last year I actually didn't grow... I didn't pre-grow lettuce. I could do the lettuce another day. But I do want to get some lettuce going to get my garage garden going. So we're going to move ahead with the lettuce if I'm a little bit late. With some of my other onions, that's going to be fine. But first up, we're going to do, so this is packaged for 2024, Walla Wallas. So this is that's the thing. This was packaged for 2024. This one is packaged for 2026. I am very strongly incentivized to use these guys. Because these guys are... And I also have a fair bit of these guys too. Like, look at all that. So I am going to make a point to be generous with my sewing here. Because this is onion. Onion seeds don't keep super well. So... I'm sorry I can't, like, super show you. Well, actually. How do I want to do this? Oh. I had a fold in my thing. Ooh. Okay. So we'll do it this way. So, got a nice little handful of seeds. Grab a light pinch. And I'm just going to scatter them about. Now, generally, when I'm sewing, I aim for 2. If I know it's a really healthy seed, usually 2 gets me pretty good. It does really well for my lettuce. I mean, honestly, the lettuce I've had really good germination rates on lettuce. So if I just give a good little peruse, I think that's pretty good of the Walla Walla. I have some seeds I bred about 8 years ago. I should try some this year. Yeah, you should totally try those. Actually, I should leave this out. Shouldn't be getting too committed there, buddy. So I'm gonna come over here. I'm just gonna pile that on. So this is essentially my covering material. Here, this is basically this is the store-bought seed potting mix that I have here. And this is also like keeping the stuff in like the big tray because the big trays kind of help contain the mess a little bit. And as you can see, when you go through with this stuff, it makes it look a lot better. It looks a lot cleaner than with just the leaf mold. Leaf mold is very useful. I've used it with great success, but doesn't look great. Okay, so I got my handy dandy popsicle stick. So onions are onions are onions. i.e., I can identify them very easily. If you were to look at the thumbnail for today's stream, the wispy bits of seeds you see, well, the wispy green things, those are onions. So, I'm going to just write voila. Voila. Please excuse my horrible handwriting. I'm a lefty writing in midair. I have no support. But there we go. So, 2 Walla Walla sticks. Well, 2 on either side. And if I'm lucky, wow, that's got a good bit of bend to it. But I was victorious. And with that, stick a Walla Walla there and a Walla Walla over here. And bada bang. First set of seeds done. Time to have some tea. Tea is delicious. Granted, my tea is also chilled down. I wish it was warmer. Okay, so that's the Walla Walla. Let's go ahead and let's move on to. Don't want to get dirt into my seed trays. Heaven forbid I get dirt and then moisture and then my seeds start growing. That's what I need. Writing on cardboard doesn't. Yeah, writing on. So I've used a variety of means over the years. So, I've had plant stakes, sort of like this. So this is Walla Walla. I have written on pieces of metal. And I've also written on pieces of scrap Eastern Red Cedar. I have used all sorts of various ways to label my plants. But I have like the traditional like popsicle sticks, and that's what I'm gonna do. So we're now gonna do the shallots. Zebruni, I think is how that name's pronounced. Question mark? So I'm gonna get a little bit of a handful there. And for the astute amongst yourselves, you might realize that these don't look a bit different from the Walla Wallas. And that's because they don't. Onion seed looks like onion seed looks like onion seed. In my book. Like, all onion seed looks all the same. I have white plastic ones, but it's hard to write on them. Ah. Okay, so I'm gonna go traditional Sugi route for my last few trays. Or maybe not. Let's see. I want one extra there. We're gonna do 2 there. I got 5. Don't want 5. Just want 2. There we go. There we go. And that's the shallots done. And then oh wait. There's one more step, buddy. Place together. Nice like that. And grab potting mix. Ah. And just tuck these little ones into their trays nice and lightly. There we go. Now I write. I was getting ahead of myself. Happens all the time. So we got S-H. Shallot. Shallot. And divide. Ah. Oh. Complete the labeling process. Yay! I need to get some more tea going. And hopefully not pop a breaker. Shucks, before the blacksmithing stream, I had my space heater running, and then I turned on my tea kettle, and both things were on the same circuit. And due to that, I popped the breaker. Which was very exciting because it was like, oh boy, I now have to like ultra get ready for stream now. Because I had to reboot all my programs, I had to recheck everything. I got scared. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I'm done here for the most part. I do need to put, because I was hoping to get some of these boys going. However, though, I can't. I don't have enough dirt. So those are for another day. And also this bag here, these are my Japanese bunching onions. I love my Japanese bunching onions. Because in the incredible cold that it is right now, they're still out there thriving. They're out in dirt, completely exposed to the air. And they're thriving. Speaking of not thriving, gotta cut this guy open a bit. There we go. Bam. Let's get ourselves a nice little sprinkling of seed. Get Let's see, I think I only got one on you. And I think I'll do one more there. And then with my remainder, back into the bin. Well, back into the paper. Ooh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. My water's done. This also assures me that I'm not popping the breaker. Ooh, wow. That fogged up a glass. Well, my glasses. Okay. So, we got our seed set. Now I'm just gonna kind of get stuff a little bit out of the way because I just don't want to get dirt on that stuff. Start with a nice big generous handful. Great, I think we're doing pretty alright with the amount of this material that we're using. Using enough to get a pretty good amount of coverage. There we go. And that's basically about as much as I really do as far as, especially for a lot of the stuff I'm planning right here, honestly, about a 1/4 inch into the dirt. Nice light covering. I don't try to press too hard. Nothing like that. Usually pretty good for those guys. Sure. Let's just put, get our little stick out. Ruby red. And ruby red. There we go. One bin labeled. 2 two been labeled. Just powering through this. And with that, so I've got a little bit of dirt on my lid. Keep that out of my seed. Let me not forget these guys. Yeah. Where did my box go? Behind me. That's where I put it. Okay. So let's go ahead and start knocking out our lettuce before we move on to our brassicas. So, first up, we have good old Yugoslavian red butterhead. Oh, wow. I really went ham on these seeds. I probably have enough. I have enough for 1/6 tray. Now, the nice thing with the lettuce seeds, they're white. So they're a little bit more visible against the the soil. So, like, you guys can see them. You can see the lettuce. Onion, with the onion seeds being a black color, much harder to see based off color, but you can see it a bit off texture. Because the onions will look like a coarse texture versus the more finer texture of the dirt you're working with. Okay. Spread a little bit there. And so I'm only going to be doing single 6Ls because the lettuce is going to be going into my raised bed. Well, my raised bed, I have what's called a cold frame. So some of the lettuce is going to go into the cold frame. The rest of the lettuce is going to go into the garage garden. And then I'm just going to write Yugoslavian red for my label. Because essentially that's all I need. Because this lettuce is pretty identifiable compared to other plants. So that is one more plant taken care of. Next up is summertime lettuce. Come on down, summertime. Do not be shy. Because I'm excited to grow some food. Okay. Now the summertime is black seed, so I have to be really keeping my eyes peeled here when I distribute the seed out. Well, it's actually a brownish look to it, so let's go ahead and so it's 3 cells. And let's hit the last one. And there we go. Now, I probably oversowed a bit because it's just really hard to keep my eyes peeled on the lettuce. So, but I always rather oversow a little bit versus undersow. Because at this point in time, we're trying to get these crops ready for a Pacific time. And isn't it early? You the start seeds? Nope. So here is my planting calendar, essentially for my location on the. Oh yeah, yes, you are a Canadian, sir. But this is my planting calendar, and as you can see, we've got a little bit of action happening on all the months. But for January, we have the broccoli, we have the cabbage, and then we have the onion. We're doing lettuce because I have season extending stuff that lets me pull that season forward versus lettuce is typically a late February. You're all prepared. Honestly, that just helps me keep myself straight. It does so much for keeping me straightened out, because it's very easy to get caught up in life and just stuff happening. So it's really good to have like little reminders like that calendar. Especially considering I want to have like a good. I always try to take my prepping for the garden season seriously, because historically, for me, an AI assistant would help me with my planning schedule. Yeah, either an AI assistant, or you could also just use I know Google Calendar would probably be good too. As for me, I just rely on paper because I'm deeply analog. Like, gosh darn it, I can't trust a robot as far as I can throw one. Depending on the size of robot, I can't throw it very far. Okay. So I need to make a little bit of room here. And flip these bad boys around. So that way, where I'm actively planning is closer to me. So we're gonna go in with our third variety of lettuce, speckled. Also, I really like the purple red lettuces that are like mixed with green. I don't know. The diversity of colors just seems like it looks more appetizing in a salad. There we go. Lose my to-do list and then forget what I wrote on the to-do list. Oh no. I mean, I guess what I would do in that situation is, oh wow, I don't need that much seed. Is what I would do is after I made the list, I would take a picture of it with my camera's phone. Then that way you have your list on your camera and a digital copy in addition to the physical copy. What's that? It's a little bit of a big piece of debris. We don't want any big pieces of debris around here. Then all this seed goes right back into the packet. So that way we can grow, because I'm going to be growing a lot more lettuce than just like 16 plants. You guys better believe. Problem solved. Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself in my labeling. I'm getting ahead of myself. Gotta grab the stuff that lets me tuck my plants in. Pat, 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 pat. Grab. Spread out. Pat, 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 pat. There we go. And that is going to be speckled. Here we go. Good evening, Dad's Old Shop. How are you doing? Continuing to have fun in the volleyball lines, I hope. And I also hope you're staying warm because things in America have went stupid cold this, well, like starting today. Linky Links jumped in her scratching box. Ah, the cute cat doing the cute cat things. Ooh. Well, that tea's still a little bit warm. Granted, I appreciate warm too. Well, I'll try. We'll see how much I can play tomorrow with my knee and my road rash. Oof. Oh. Actually, just down to red cabbage. Ooh. It's swear word cold. It's so cold, all you can do is swear. Yeah. Oh my gosh. My heat pump is like... This is at the upper limits of my, like, design temperatures, and I'm uncomfortable with that thought. But it's still hanging in there well. I mean, I've only got the indoor temperature set to 64, so... Road rash sucks, yeah. Yeah. So, I've got my broccoli. One of the most powerful deliciousnesses in the garden, I think. Because you can... It's not only is, like, the part you typically eat good, but you can also eat the leafy parts. Okay, I am really nearing the end of my stock of broccoli seed. So I'm going to really have to pick up broccoli seed next year. Come over here, you. Get back in your bag. Okay, and with that, let's grab our potting mixture here. Just tuck those wonderful, cute little seeds into their dirt home. Because that's the difference between plants and animals. If you tuck animals into their dirt home, they don't typically come back. Well, if they come back, they're not part of the living. People are probably going to be like, "Sugi, that's too dark." But I have a dark sense of humor, though. So since I grabbed one of my old ones from last year, we're going to go ahead and stick that guy in. And then, since I have half a magic tab, we're going to do some really terrible handwriting. Because my handwriting is just a crime against humanity. Broccoli! Crashed a Yamaha RZ350 at 93 miles per hour once. Cotton. Oh! And baking sand on my shoulders for years. Oh gosh. Ugh. That's why the motorcycle people wear gear, man. I can't imagine picking sand out of my shoulders for years. Now, granted, when I was a young, foolish lad, I got humbled by the powers that be, and I basically face planted. I literally ate asphalt. Just straight butt over tea kettle, ate asphalt. And I busted both my both my upper and lower lips. I got a chipped tooth out of this situation, and a couple bits of road rash here and here. Oh, that's real road rash. Mine was sliding wrong on a volleyball court on the same patch as skin 3 times. It's not weeping anymore, which is good. Okay. Oh, that's good to hear. But yeah, that was like my most significant bicycling incident as a youngster. And yeah, I felt that for days. Anytime you chip dental, that's a real spill. Yeah. And best of all, I'm actually very serious. I'm actually kind of serious about the powers that be remark. Oh wait, did I not fill that one all the way up? Darn it, I wanted to do 8 cabbage plants. We're gonna fill these 6 up, and I'm gonna see. I have leftover material in there. Oh well, we'll figure this out. But yeah, so my seriousness for upsetting the powers that be lies in the fact that the day that wreck occurred was on a Sunday. And young Sugi made a very careless remark on Sunday. And the careless remark young Sugi made is, I was riding my bicycle without my hands on the handlebars and looked at one of my friends and was like, "Hey, look, I can read the Bible while bicycling." And then in the next second, my handlebars went from normal handlebars to this way, and I was going butt over tea kettle and ate so much incredible. You don't do that, Suki. Well, that's also why I've kept the chipped tooth, which, goodness gracious, I probably have had this chipped tooth for close to 20 years now. Spoke the incantation. But my chipped tooth is a reminder to never have pride at any other event for the rest of my life. That's why I keep that chipped tooth. And I'm gonna keep it until the dentist says it's time to go. And I just had, actually not this past Monday, but the Monday before that, I had a dental cleaning checkup thing. So I passed that. So the chipped tooth stays. And it's actually, so it's one of my front teeth, and it's like the whole corner. I'm missing the whole corner out of one of my teeth. Let's see. Oh, that's a bunch of cabbage. Cabbage. But yeah, don't get prideful before other people's gods. They will do things to you. And that was a very valuable lesson I learned that day. Also a lesson that's kind of helped out in life too, because it actually has helped me be a little bit more humble. Okay, so we got that, and then we've got this. So that tucks pretty much all the cabbage in. But I'm a little upset I didn't. I put material into this thinking I had that filled, and I didn't. I'd rather get my cabbage sewed. Man, Words of power exist. My Pathfinder DM remarked that one of the players at the table hadn't died in months. He died 30 minutes into the session. Yeah, you don't say the words of power. In the 70s, I borrowed my brother's chopper bike, pulled a wheelie, and then the front wheel came down the front. Forks broken too. I busted my lips up, loosened 2 front teeth, but no chip. Ooh, man. Bicycles. Well, I don't know. I'm in the camp of bicycles are very much fun. But it's good to know that I'm in like the light company of people who enjoy having fun on 2 wheels. Okay. Let's see. How do I want to go about this now? Luckily, it didn't even feel like it at the time. How do I feel about that? I feel like I might be a hair bit short, but I think I can live with a hair bit short. I think I can. Ooh, dear. I gotta dry my hands for this. If I put wet seat on... Well, if I put my seat on wet hands, it's just gonna stick to my hands. I won't be able to get it off. Ooh. Okay. It's 2. Haha! I got 4 exactly. Drop, 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 and drop. So let's go ahead and get these guys tucked in nicely with all the remainder of the dirt. I should have prepared more dirt because I would have liked to get some more onion stuff going, but unfortunately, the remainder of my leaf mold is currently frozen in an Arctic tomb brought to this country by the country of Canada. And I know that as a country, the U.S. has been very irresponsible on the international stage. But we're not deserving of this much cold, man. Like, there's retribution, but there's such a thing as too much. Or at least not all Americans are assholes or something. Yeah, okay. Now I gotta label all this nonsense. I'm gonna dry my hands first, though. I recall. Also gotta keep pounding that tea, man. Granted, my shop's already warmed up by 5 degrees since I've been in it. It's up to 61 now. When I started, it was like... Well, when I first... Actually, no. When I first came in the shop, it was 55 in here. Fahrenheit. Wee bit chilly. And then it also sucks because it's gonna get cold again. It's gonna get cold again, man. Why is there so much cold? It's like it's winter or something. But you know what? That's also why we start seeds now. Is it? These seeds give us a little bit of hope that things are gonna get better. It will get warm. Well, actually, granted, wait. If it gets warm, then I have to mow grass again. That's gonna kind of suck. But if I get to mow grass again, then that means I get to test. That means I get to fire the scythe up. I can start scything, man. I am looking forward to that. I am so looking forward to using my scythe in my front yard and having my neighbors look at me and be like, Sugi, what the hell are you doing this time? And I'm like, being the best me that I can. Well, also, So I have the rotary mower. So I'm thinking the benefit with the rotary mower is for if mow day. Do you have grow lights? Yes, I actually have. I have 2 grow lights. One actually. Hey, I can just show you one right now. Is that loose? That's loose. It's loose. Okay, field trip. There's one of my grow lights right there. And it's currently keeping the garage garden going. And if the garage garden looks like it's being sad, that's because it is. Because I have one dying tomato plant, another dying tomato plant, and then in here, that one green thing around the tip of my finger, that's basil. That's cilantro, I think. It's either cilantro or parsley. Mine are 600 watts and 1,000 watts. Ooh, nice. Big wattage. And then I also have some... The linky green thing is linky green onion, and then I also have some thyme in there. And then the lettuce for today, that is going to be... The lettuce is what's going to go in there once the tomatoes are fully dead, which is probably going to be in the time... Those tomatoes are going to be dead by the time the lettuce is ready to go in there. I also have a volunteer pepper plant in there that I need to get out and transplant at some point. Because I do want to plant out that pepper, just because it technically started growing in 2025, so. And I like the idea of like a multi-year-old pepper. I did experiment once with putting peppers into dormancy and replanting them out. Now, granted, when you do that, you're going to lose some peppers. You're probably... I think I had about a 50% success rate with overwintering peppers. But I did not notice a significant additional harvest off the ones I overwintered, so I stopped doing that. Granted, jeepers creepers. This looks like a lot of food. Alright. So we'll stab this in here. And that should go in there. Yeah, that's a 2. So I went in with 4 popsicle sticks for the cabbage. I didn't think you could do that with peppers. Yeah, you can do that with peppers. There's a guy called Kevin. He heads up the business growing organization called Epic Gardening. He is the one who introduced me to the overwintering peppers thing, and I tried it out. It kind of worked, and I got peppers in the ground and such, and the ones, like my overwintered peppers, seemed like they were really slow to take off once I put them in the ground. Versus if I go in with transplants, the transplants are usually like, they take off very quickly. Like, not a problem whatsoever. Like, and that's where I've traditionally had a lot of success with peppers. So I'd rather start them indoors and then plant them out. And also, I can just use seed, because, I mean, buying seed is cheap, man. Seed is so horrendously cheap. Because, I mean, I think a packet of seeds like this, and this is from, like, Seed Savers. Like, it's like $4. It's like $4.25. I know there's cheaper ones at like, the store and such, but some of their seeds are also organic, and Seed Savers Exchange does a lot of seed bank work, which I think is very important. You can keep a motherweed plant alive for years. I mean, you can do that with peppers. You can even do it with tomatoes, man. If you want to be ambitious enough, you can keep a lot of veg that we grow here in Eastern North America on an annual basis can be grown on a perennial basis with the right climate. I mean, granted, like down in Louisiana, where they make Tabasco sauce, they can actually keep pepper plants alive for like quite a few years. It's just here where I live at, peppers are best done as an annual. And that's how I grow them. I mean, that's just what's worked. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to get more ambitious with my cold frame, because my cold frame has worked. It has, like, I ate lettuce out of my cold frame yesterday. So I ate lettuce out of my cold frame yesterday. When we did the forge stream at the end, I made a BLT. That BLT sandwich was made with lettuce I grew myself and tomatoes out of the garage garden I showed you. In January, in Eastern North America, in Kentucky, I ate homegrown fresh tomatoes. And that is the primary reason why I'm willing to put up with 16 square feet of my garage space getting turned into garden, just so that way I can do the weird flex of saying, hey, I can grow tomatoes in like the winter months. I wish I cloned the mutant plant from last year. It was a once in a lifetime plant. 2 female genes, unbelievable traits. Oh man. Now that is a realm of the growing sphere. Plant breeding is a whole different animal from just general, hey, I want to grow vegetables, man. A wholly different beast from what I'm used to. But now that I actually brought up the cold frame, sweet. There's nothing on the back of this. Except sawdust. So, I have a slight issue with my cold frame that I think it keeps the lettuce. It's good. But we'll do that. So I'm going to do the side profiles for it. Because... and this doesn't really fully capture what's going on, but it's not the best diagram in the world, but it's a diagram. I think it helps. So, the lettuce in my cold frame has been growing super slow. And I think my issue is I'm not getting a lot of light down here. Because these are like, so I've got 6-inch boards, so let's just do side bracket, 6 inches. I'm going to be ready this year. Going to have a good cloning system if I need it. There you go. Go in prepared. Be prepared for success. So the width of these boards is 6 inches tall. I've got 3 on the back, and I've got 2 on the front. And I don't think I'm getting enough light down in here, because I'm pretty sure I'm just getting light coming in like this, or even like that, and most of my soil level, because I'm trying to grow lettuce, and all my lettuce is growing really close to the ground. It's not getting a lot of light. I think it's just not getting the light it needs to grow well. But I have an idea. And the idea is, I have, due to the fact that I use panes of glass, which I think is a mistake on my part, what I want to do, try light reflectors. I have considered a little bit of that because these boards here are getting, well, because this board here and that board there, they're actually getting sunlight. So I was thinking about doing like a whitewash on them. So that way if light comes in, it will bounce and kind of get down in there a little bit more. Granted, if there's a dedicated product, I'll look into that. But what I'm thinking is, well, what I'm thinking is my easy path forward is I change the angle of my lid, because my lid sticks out. Sticks out probably like 5-6 inches past the lip of the frame. So what I'm thinking about doing is cutting this front board down, because I don't need a lot of height inside the cold frame if I'm primarily just growing lettuce. Like, I can keep, what I'm going to do is keep the 3 boards on the back, but I'm going to cut the front boards down, well, probably this front one, and then I'm going to change my angle on my sides, and then that will hopefully drop the lid down, because the lid's overbuilt. Because if I were to drop the direction, emergency blankets are good for inexpensive. Oh, hey man, yeah, you know what? You're right. You're right. And I could also just like staple the emergency blankets, or like there's a couple ways to do that. There's actually a good couple little ways to do that. Thank you for that idea. Thank you for that. But I think I'll actually probably try a combination of light reflecting and lowering this, just because I also like the idea of cutting wood out, because that'll make this thing lighter. I really wish I would. My biggest regret with my cold frame is I cheaped out on the material for the top, because I bought standard glass. I bought 3 2-foot by 3-foot panes of glass, and it was half the price of acrylic, because the build plans actually called for acrylic for the top. It was half price to go with actual glass panels. That's actually the reason why the width of the lid is a bit larger, because I had to size my frame for my panes of glass. So I've kind of been looking at it, and I'm like, well, I can cut things to the point where I can drop that lid a little bit more, because the lid's a little bit overbuilt. So that just seems like a pretty, might be kind of a pain in the butt to do, but not terrible. Especially, actually, the smart thing to do would be to take that front board off, and then I can rip it at the table saw. But I'll have to wait for warmer temperatures for that, because right now, that lettuce needs every ounce of protection from the cold it can get. I built my seedling starter area with an emergency blanket. The most expensive part was $5.50. Oh gosh. Nice. When I first built when I was building out my cold frame, I think to buy the acrylic alone was going to be over $100. I think I spent I think it was going to be like $120 for the acrylic if I went that route, but only, oh, sorry about that. But only $60 if I went with glass. I went with glass, which was cheaper, but glass is heavy. Actually, if I want to move my cold frame, which I will eventually do probably around in March, because I'll take it off. Because I usually take it off and I store it on my front porch, at least the outside frame. And then the lid I store in my basement, because the glass. I don't want the lid flopping over and the glass shattering, which I would be concerned about that happening with like a stray gust of wind. Stray gusts of wind have negatively impacted me at various points I do everything on the cheap. I'm budget conscious, but I'm also willing to throw money at my hobbies, so that's just the type of guy I am. I mean, the lumber was cheap. I mean, I can get my hands on cheap cedar, so the cedar was cheap because basically, really the glass was the main thing I had in it in terms of money. Because I think with the glass, the cedar lumber, and the hinges for mounting the lid to the actual like frame of the cold frame, I'm pretty sure that project was only like $100 for me total. So honestly, kind of worth it for extending my growing season, but it needs to be improved upon. And this is because I built it. Shucks, I built that late last year. Like, I think I only used it for like 2 or 3 weeks or something. Which was one of the issues with it, is I should have built it sooner. Yeah. Shucks, I built that back in February. Once I got over 100 pallets a few years ago, I'll probably run out this year. Ooh. Pallets. Oh man, there's a lot of fun with those things. I actually recently got a pallet from work, but I broke that down for 4 years ago. But I broke it down for fire starting material is what I did that for. Now, I am slightly debating whether or not I build another cold frame, but actually use plexiglass this time just because I hate moving the lid on my current cold frame. Or who knows, maybe I might rebuild the cold frame where each glass pane is its like own section, and then I can move it in versus moving, because it's like 3 feet this dimension, and then it's like, yeah, because it's a little bit larger than 3 feet by 6 feet, so it's pretty good size, and it's awkward. Whereas if I were to mount each glass panel separately, it would take a little bit more lumber to do that, but I could just move three small windows versus the whole frame. So, but I will definitely be giving your emergency blanket idea a try. I like that idea. That seems like that will do some good stuff for that. And then I'll probably also go with cutting the frame down to get a little bit more light in there. I'm going to build a motorcycle workshop out of pallets this year, I hope. Get it started. Ooh, nice. Oh, man. 2026 is just going to be a good year for projects all around, because I'm pretty excited about some of the projects. Because on Sunday, I'm going to be doing the board game shelf, and I'm hoping that project will be enough to take up a good chunk of the sassafras I have lying around. At least get my sassafras stores down low enough to the point where, okay, I can go grab some more lumber. Have a little bit more space for more lumber is my hope after that project. So, and I have been keeping my eyes out for lumber out there in the world. So, and I've seen some tempting stuff. But yeah, so I'd say this has been a good stream. I also have to use I may have had a little bit too much tea, because I've got to use the little homesteader's room pretty badly. But I would like to say thank you very much for tuning in, everyone. Thank you very much for stopping by and chatting, Mr. Spock. It was a pleasure talking to you. And next stream is going to be same time as this one. No beer. Well, I have a beer. I have a beer after stream. I will have a beer after stream just for you, Mr. Spock. Okay? Hopefully that'll make you happy. Have a happy day, everyone. But yeah, this is Sugi Yamagawa. I like to wish everyone out there, may you have a great rest of your day, night, evening, whatever it is, wherever you're at. And hopefully I'll see y'all next one. Bye-bye.